Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Fisheries Inside podcast. In this episode, I'll be continuing on my topic on the synergy between the managers of the fishery and the research institutions. But this time around, I'll be talking about the financing gap, which is a very huge problem globally. From estimate, it ranges between 23 and about 47 billion US dollars in terms of the funding gap for funding for fisheries. In this era where we are all talking about sustainable management and sustainable fisheries and stuff, sustainable natural resources and all those stuff, it is important that the funding gap is addressed. But let me narrow it further and talk about the issue of government agencies not funding or not allocating budget for fisheries research, so that there will be that collaboration between them and the research and academic institutions. This really is a very serious challenge, and we need to, as a matter of urgency, if you want a sustainable fisheries and they also want to reduce economic losses, and so that we don't, out of the blue, we just realize that there's something going on and we are not able to explain. It is very important that we look at the funding issue. This situation is very severe, especially when it comes to developing countries where most of the time governments are more focused on probably trying to allocate funds for something else than research, which is an important aspect of every facet of life. There is a saying that if you cannot measure it, you cannot manage it. So it is very important that the funding gap is really taken seriously. I did a little research with Google Gemini. And as I indicated earlier, the funding gap is around between 23 to 47 billion dollars. This was like 2000 until this will be like that until 2030. And as a result of that, there are challenges with data deficiencies. Data deficiency has to do with the lack of data in aspects that like the aspect of the fishery that we are not able to manage because we don't have a lot of data. These are some of the challenges that come about as a result of the issue of the funding gap. It is something that we need to really take, and it's also if we want to reduce poverty and economic losses, we need to really look at that aspect. I will narrow further to countries like Ghana, where I come from. I can speak more to that because there's that issue where most of the time educational institutions and research institutions have to look for their own funding, and government has no allocation in terms of even though professors are given book and research allowances, but in terms of a dedicated fund for fisheries research, so that the department, the university department and research institutions can access those, so that they can conduct researches that are more or less led by the government, is usually non-existent. And it's something that we have to look at as a people, whether Ghana or globally. It is important that we have to look at the funding gap so that we are able to reduce the uncertainties that is associated with the current management practices that we are undertaking. So this is my advocacy for this podcast. Thank you, and see you some other time.